Hello, family. Welcome to the What Does Your Relationship with God Look Like Wednesday edition of the podcast. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Duane Anthony Lyken, which is awesome because my name is Anthony Duane. I found it kind of awesome.
Not your favorite people.
Duane is a published New York City photographer who's done photo shoots not only in the U.S., but in multiple countries as well. He's worked in the New York Fashion Week circuit, and he's fresh off of Harlem's Fashion Row event for the last 3 to 4 years. And he is the owner of and creator of D. Anthony Photography. Did I get all that right?
You did, but right, wait a minute. Okay, I just need to say.
That's the bio part, but he's much more than that to us.
Right.
So, and I'll let Lisa go into that.
Let me take that one away?
You take that one.
The most important part. Okay. Duane is my friend. Okay?
Uh-huh.
It's my road dog. I adore Duane. Let me let you know. One of the best human beings you could ever meet. And that's a huge statement.
Yes.
Because he's an incredible human being, such an incredible heart, such light, such love. And what you see is what you get. Mm-hmm. Interestingly, his representative is so closely in line with regular Duane. It's a little freakish, whatever. But one of the most important events he's done is our wedding.
Absolutely.
So I never thought I was photogenic. Let me tell you, Duane makes me want to take photos.
Oh, look, I was a straight model.
So come on now. Come on. I was Fashion Week. I'm just saying.
I'll still working it out, living that dream.
Tyson Beckford ain't got nothing on me, okay? Now we're taking the pictures.
Oh, okay.
Well, what's funny is that you guys were model in front of the camera and just model for what a marriage looks like. So it was my honor. And while you guys were talking, I kept imagining in my head the tear emoji, because we don't laugh out loud no more, right?
Right.
So why not just have the tear emoji represent how I really feel,
Exactly.
But thank you for having me. I appreciate you too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He's incredible. But I mean, before we dive into these wonderful questions, is there anything you want to add? Because I know that you're so much more than just, and I don't want to say just, I hate that word. You're so much more than a photographer.
Yeah.
So is there anything you want to add?
There's a couple of things. My photography is art, so from time to time, actually no, at least twice a year, I display or exhibit my artwork. And throughout the years, I've actually added at least 2 or 3 mission trips throughout the year. So I'll be in parts of Africa, I'll be in parts of Southeast Asia, being a photojournalist for doctors, and also an organization that works with orphanages. So it has afforded me a really great humanitarian opportunity to really engage and interact with people all over, and just realize how alike we are.
Yeah.
Right. And really love to engage and understand and learn how we're different. So that actually is probably the most fulfilling thing that I can do at any point in time, each and every year. Oh, and also I've been to Cuba a couple of times, and I think that I've vibed on such a high level spiritually, just engaging with how human beings share, show, and embody love. And Cuba is one of those places that I truly experienced that.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because Cuba got such a bad rap for a long time.
Yeah.
And now we can truly see what's really going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
And really, honestly, should take some of those teachings over there and bring them back here.
Right.
Spread the love over here. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Just in a really neat nutshell, when you're not allowed to understand how things work and who people are, you'll form the opinions like, this place is just not some place you want to be or experience.
Mm-hmm.
But every part of the world has experienced Cuba but us, of embargo, right?
Sure.
So like, for instance, when I was supposed to do an exhibit in Turkey, I was like, I have this really great body of work from Cuba. I would love to have in your showroom. And the person's like, well, we go to Cuba all the time. And I'm like, do you?
Wow.
And so they're like, no, we kind of want the interesting stuff, like the Empire State Building and the Brooklyn Bridge. And I'm like,
right.
Oh,
and the funny thing is, I have no photos of those things.
Wow. Wow.
Calling myself a New York City photographer, right? Because whatever is closest to us, I believe that we have to manage whether or not we take it for granted, right? In all things, right?
Yeah.
And we always love the things that we don't have access to or we can't have.
Right.
So here I am celebrating a place that I thought everybody would want because not everybody has access to, but I determined or assumed who that everybody was when it really isn't everybody. It's just some bodies don't,
Right.
while other bodies do. You
Right.
know, and so yeah, so that was it. But it's an awesome place if you ever get a chance to really, really, visit.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love that you brought up Cuba, because the wonderful thing about that is it's kind of in line with what we're doing with today's podcast.
Mhm.
We get to see Cuba through your eyes and through your lens,
Mhm.
and we run to it because of that.
Right.
So when you share your relationship with God, the
Mhm.
reason people run to him is because he looks so good on somebody else.
Mhm.
Wow, why are you smiling? Well, I know a man named Jesus. Let me tell you about him. Oh, I want to meet him too. So now the photos draw me into something I may not have potentially looked at.
Right,
You
exactly.
know? So that's awesome. I love that you allow for us to see it through your eyes. We're so closed off to so many things. We hide so many things, even God, that this is, I love that we have an opportunity to show the relationships from so many different places and so many different levels, and show that it's not always peaches and cream.
Right.
You're not always loving on God. You're not always feeling him. Sometimes you're like, I don't really feel like talking to you right now, Lord. You're saying some things I don't want to hear. But everybody hides behind this. No, you should just love on them. And I'm like, not today. Not today. But you know what? Let me start these questions off, sir.
Please. We are chatterboxes here.
Okay. So when did you fall in love with Jesus? And what did that journey look like?
So it's like I feel like it's a continuous thing. Like, when am I not fall in love with Jesus, right? And when am I defiant? Like at times, like, when am I stomping my feet and not allowing myself to fall in love truly? I will say, rather than give a time, a specific date, I will recall one of the times that I realized that I fell in love with Jesus, right? And it was totally unexpectedly. I had a friend of mine was talking, he was sharing something with me that I couldn't handle or I couldn't comprehend at the time. And it was simple, right? It was just really simple because he was on a journey and he was talking about all the names of God, right? And one of them, the first he started out with Yahweh, right?
Yes.
And so, I'm started out your typical Catholic kid, you know, um, they teach you Jesus and they teach you God, right? And nothing wrong, and so on. And later on, I decided that I needed to explore my journey with God or my relationship with God a little bit more beyond that, right? Beyond the Catholic faith. And so I started going to CCC, Christian Center in Brooklyn, and start to open up a little bit more. Like, wow, this is kind of fun. Like, wow, church is fun and church is great, and you learn these things, and so when he was talking to me, and he was like a mentor for me for my fraternity, and he was talking about it, I couldn't manage that yet. God is God.
Right.
Like, these are the names that these people do, and those people
Right.
go on, right, and so on. And I remember him starting that conversation. Then one day I went to this church in New Jersey, and the topic for the church, for the sermon for the day, was the many names of God. And so when the pastor started to say, and first when he started out with Yahweh, I was like, that sounds so familiar. Like, like that's what he was trying to talk to me about. And he started going on, and what was interesting is that I recall an experience once where I was called to the altar, and these, of course, all the young people were up front, and well, young and old, everyone for the church, right, was there in the front, and they started praying. and I thought they were speaking in tongues, right?
Mm.
And what I learned from that service was that they would just say the different names of God.
Come on.
Right?
Yeah.
But I couldn't comprehend it. I couldn't receive it because I'm so distracted. Even while I got called to the altar and they're praying for me, I'm in my head like, what are they saying? Did I go down the wrong road? Did I go to the wrong person? And all these different things. And I could, right. And I'm listening to the next person, like, what's he getting? Like I was so not present, right? And and so, because of this experience, I found that I really didn't allow myself to truly be fed or be, really ministered to,
right.
because I was too busy, wondering what was going on around me to really realize, that my Bible study was still on its infancy stage, right? And so when I started to realize that, that's when I started to fall in love with Jesus, because then now now it was the time for me to actually dive in to scripture.
Yeah.
Right? Really dive into it and get whatever it was meant for me to get out of it, right? Like I was no longer having to, search for an answer that I didn't know, for a question I didn't know what to ask.
Okay.
Right. So a lot of times I was there like, oh my God, I need to know this. I need to know this. I have these questions. I'm looking for things, and I'm, you're Googling it, and they'll give you a whole menu of, okay, if you want to know this, you go to here. Right. And I realized that I still wasn't getting my answers and my questions answered. Right. And that's because I didn't know what that question was that I need to ask. So having those experiences make me realize that those are moments of impact.
Yeah.
Moments of impact with me and my relationship, and falling in love with God and falling in love with Jesus.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love that. I find that we often face that. We're sitting scrambling for the words because we don't have the question. But as we spend time with God is when we realize He's listening to our heart anyway. Because He knows you don't have the words. And that's when we have to sit in a space of the Holy Spirit will intercede for me.
He answers the question that you have yet to ask.
Yeah.
In your heart, but you didn't even know you wanted to ask that.
Yeah.
And as you're reading the word, the answer to that comes, you're like, oh wow, that's
right.
Okay.
Right.
And something clicks.
Yeah.
Not
even answered the question yet, So,
but then when you don't know anything and you have somebody going El Shaddai and El Elyon and Yahweh, and so I'm like, whoa, where am I? What's going on here?
El who? El the Barge.
Yeah. Now you know where you're going for that one. Taking me with you. But yeah, and I didn't know all that, like Jehovah Jireh, and all this stuff, and I was lost and caught up all at once, So yeah, so having that journey, that's where I think the precipice of my journey began. Just like discovering that part.
And I love that you said that. When are you not falling in love with Him?
Yeah, that's
awesome.
That's awesome.
That's the type of relationship people want to have with their partner. When are you not falling in love with me? Realizing it's the same type of relationship with God.
Yeah.
It's like people say, it's your partner each and every day. You have to choose your partner each and every day. Right. Yeah. And, as human beings that are, well, actually as spiritual beings, being human, we often forget that we should be choosing God every day,
Yeah.
And then also knowing that while you may not be choosing Him, you've always been His chosen. So, and if you would have a relationship with that kind of love, with that kind of conviction and that kind of commitment, there's no reason for anything to fail. It's just new ways to fall in love over and over again.
I love that.
Awesome.
You know how my mind is working. I'm clicking like, okay, there's another podcast. There's another podcast. Writing it down because I'm like, I don't want to be rude. He's like, you really writing stuff down, Lisa, while we're on the podcast? So mental notes. So let me ask, who is God to you in your relationship right now?
Well, God is the beginning and end of all things, right? So, when I put my feet down in the morning onto the ground after I come off of this rest that that I crave for every night because I'm so tired. Once I put my feet down, it's God first, right? Before I do anything else, it's God first, and you know, I'm still in a space of discovery. I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect. I'm far from the most devout Christian. You know, I'm so open to what new things get poured into me because what I've learned without plan or without seeking, I've learned that God is continuously pouring into me, and so my relationship with him is continuous and infinite.
Yeah.
And so, if I interact with my relationship with him in that way, then yeah, then I will continue to be, continuous and infinite in my journey, in my learning, in my understanding, in my questioning at times, in my, and not making things wrong. And I think that what my relationship with God has is integrity. And so it's not there was a time where there was like a facade of sorts, like I had to make everybody think I was a believer and I was this and I was
Yeah.
that. And I,
Come on now.
know, when people were were to ask me to pray, and I'm like, I'm sitting out here like, who can who
Look,
can I pray like? You know?
Right? Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, who can I
Look,
pray like?
you play in the role and they put you on Front Street. You're like, up,
You know,
show up
and,
now.
and because I'm praying like that person, I get none of the prayers, quote unquote, right. Like I'm in my head. I'm like, I said that already. Like, like I'm nudging myself internally, and
Guys looking at you like, look at him.
you said thank you for that already. You said already. As a matter of fact, they said that before you came here, so.
Oh, man.
So, but then that's it too. Like, like I can't take I take my relationship with God seriously,
Yeah.
but I don't take it so serious that I can't have like humor and joy and laughter within it. So,
Definitely.
in a nutshell, that's my relationship.
I love that.
Yeah, that's dope.
I
That's
love
dope.
that. So what stage are you in right now in your relationship with God? I love the response to this question. I do. Come on, you got
Well, I think that I'm in the cocoon stage, right?
Oh, okay.
All right,
So-
come on.
All right. You gotta break that down.
You got to break that
there.
down.
Right, I got. It's interesting. Like I know you send me. I know you're gonna kill. You send these questions to look at beforehand. I didn't see it I saw the Zoom. I didn't see this part. And I don't like to share blame, but you send it two different emails to do different places. So that wasn't a blame.
Is he trying to throw you?
Point fingers.
You know how many people say, "I don't mean to offend you," but
Yeah, I mean,
and it's
that's
like,
how that
I
works.
don't mean to share blame, but you.
That's how it works. That's how it works, right? Because I'm a deflected. But and I'm glad I didn't see the question before because this actually, I want to really go with what came to mind, and I really do feel like I said in joking form that I'm in cocoon stage, and the truth of the matter is I really do feel that way. I'm long in my journey, but people have it that if you're long in your journey and you've gotten far, right? And I've probably been long in my journey in circles, so I haven't gotten anywhere, right? So here it is right now that I'm still in this cocoon stage, just starting to find the seams within the cocoon in order to break it. They're still searching within there, just trying to break it, right? That narrow pathway, right? And so I've lived life so broad, right? And so living life broad have you have this really large peripheral, right? And, a lot of times you don't see everything in your peripheral.
Yeah.
And so, right now, and I find this age, right? Like, cause, my auntie, my grandmother, everybody have the thickest of Bibles. They have the wisest of sayings. They have the best advice for you and so on. But I ain't hear you say that like 30 years ago. I didn't see your relationship like that 30 years ago. So,
Right.
but I think it's age, and I really do admire the young people I come into contact with that have a really, really strong relationship with God. And I'm almost like very inspired by them, and they're like 20 years younger than me. It's like it's like that video I saw on I think on Instagram once, and the kid is standing up there, and he's standing in the tank to get baptized, and the pastor is like, all right, and so he's like, no, come on, and he's getting excited, and the pastor goes, okay, in the name of the Father, and he goes down, right? Like I was so inspired by that because I didn't have that. I was young in church. Yeah, I was in Catholic church trying to just like seeing if I can kneel down before everybody else and stand up before everybody else. And, go through the aerobics before everybody. That's what I was interested in, like the mechanics of it. But it also was like looking good, right? Like you want to be the best. You want to look like you're the best. You want to look like you have it all, right? Mm-hmm. And so on. And that's not what God was looking for.
Right.
God is not looking for you to look good, in his name.
Yeah.
You understand? I mean, and what he wants for you is to just be in a relationship where you have the freedom to be whomever you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I still struggle with that. I still struggle with having the freedom of being who I am, whoever I am meant to be, right? There's always a question, there's always a why. I had my nephew here for 4 days, and the question that I got 1,000,003 times was why, till I ran out of why, the answers to the why, and I should be with my own journey, ask the why, but not be in such a commitment to getting that answer fulfilled or answered right now, right here and now, because my questions are going to be answered, and it's not a someday, some way, right? But I still have to kind of put in the work in order for me to get the kind of answers, to get the answers, questions answered, sorry, get those questions answered, right? So it's like closed mouths don't get fed. All the different sayings come to mind, the squeaky oil gets the wheel, God provide those who provide for, all these different things come to mind, right? And it's in age that those things make sense, right? Like as a kid or younger, or when I didn't want to, I said I wanted to hear, I said I was looking for it, but I really wasn't. I couldn't get it. I couldn't hear it. It's like when I heard Yahweh, it's like, what does that mean? And then now it's like, oh, the great I am. Yeah, like what?
Right.
So
and we're not always ready. I mean, think about it. Our children ask us certain questions that we say, when you get older. And God says the same thing. You're not ready. Mm-hmm. You're not ready to hear the answer to that, and I will prepare you and position you for this place where you can receive the answer and accept it,
Right.
But
I think we've all went through things where, or we've asked for certain things and we didn't get it at that moment. But then when we did get it, we realized that, oh wow, had I got this back then, it wouldn't have worked out, or I would have messed it up, or
or better yet, thank God he didn't give it to me.
Thank God he didn't give it to me. Yeah. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. And God loves the broken, because the broken shows God's glory. Mm-hmm. He loves the broken. We have to realize that I had a conversation with someone today that's struggling with their storm. And I had to remind them that everyone in the Bible went through a storm, but the only way we know what it looks like on the other side is because they went through it and they recorded it. And now we go through and we record and tell others. You know, he said, go and tell, be witnesses. And the only way we can do that is to go through our storms. I mean, there's a purpose in our storms, and it's not just meant for us. Someone needs to hear you say at this age, at this point in your life, that you're in a cocoon stage, so they could say, so it's okay, I feel this way. You know, we struggle with, like you said, is it all right that I feel like this? I'm supposed to look perfect. I'm supposed to be in a better place with God. I'm supposed to say, yes, I love you too, Lord, hallelujah. You know how long it took for me to feel comfortable just to say hallelujah out loud? People would be like, come on, hallelujah.
You one praying and going like this.
Oh, yes, just putting up your hands.
You understand?
I was like,
until you're comfortable to be moved by it. Like, not a thought. Like, I don't think about it anymore. Right?
Yes.
But when I had to think about it, I had a problem with it. That's when I didn't lose myself to God.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I was still resistant to my looking good. Like, I needed to worry about it because I made fun of those people. That's what happened. That's what happened, you know. Really, and I'm being judgmental. Like, she not really feeling it. Like, what's that about?
Right. She faking. She ain't
and that's what
she just like to run around the church every Sunday.
Exactly. That's not really happening. But you know, it is. You know, and then also it's like you develop within your relationship with God your emotional intelligence too, right? So in that, you know, sometimes like I realize that not every storm is actually a storm. Some storms are just a fog, you know, and I'm, you know, I can make it into a storm, right? Right. But it's just a fog. It's gonna lift, you know, and I don't have to, you know, put myself in such a place that in such a period of chaos because this is happening in my life right now. You know, I have to decipher that this is not a storm, right? And God's gonna see me through, right? So I think that some things that could have occurred to be a storm, because of my faith, has allowed it just to be a passing fog, you know, or something like that. It's just by noon it'll be lifted, you know, you know, the sun is gonna burn it off.
Right.
Good. But I do realize a different time in my life that was an incredible storm. That very same thing. Yeah. You know, it's because I lacked faith.
Yeah.
I will be able to endure and overcome it.
Yeah. It's
that's deep.
But we've talked about that. Remember, when you walk with God, 2 inches of water is 2 inches. When you walk with the world, 2 inches is 6 feet.
It's a drown. You drown.
Yeah.
And you'll be like that kid flailing around, and they're just like, just stand up, just stand up. But
oh.
Oh my goodness.
It's just awesome. Rocking with God is awesome. And like you said, I love the fact that we still find humor, and we still, because I'm sure he's laughing at me when I come with my plans, and he's like, this chick right here, she still don't get it. She got a list. Yeah. And God, I'm going to do this. And he's like, planner. Okay.
She got her 1-year plan.
Right.
So that's what it's talking about? I thought it was talking about everybody. Is Lisa plan and God laughs? I thought it was man plans and God laughs.
Right. Tell what her plan.
You know,
I tried. I put it out there.
Like, okay, Lisa. You got this.
Like, you emailing this guy, I'll email you.
Listen, I've learned my lesson. I have learned my lesson. COVID, I have surrendered. Yeah. But I love the journey. Yeah. And because I surrendered, we're on this podcast.
There you go.
And I'm in school. Jesus help me, Lord God. But
They also love what you said about the longevity piece.
Yeah.
And you said, but you were moving, but you were moving in a circle.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people don't realize they're moving in a circle, and they're wondering why they can't get further along where they want or towards whatever goals they have. It's because they're running in that circle.
Yeah.
And like you said, you know, you're looking for that seam, that crack, and Jesus is that crack to get you out of that circle.
Right.
You know what I mean, so you focus on him, he'll pull you right out of that circle and put you right on your path to your journey, to your purpose. to your calling. So I thought that was huge. A lot of people need to hear that too. That,
Yeah.
you know, you may be in that cycle, that vicious cycle where, you know, nothing seems to be panning out for you, and you're spinning your wheels and you're doing a lot, but you're going nowhere. You know.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, you know, when I realize I gain traction is when I'm not about me. It's when I'm about other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally find gain traction when I'm about others, right? Like whenever I get into other people's worlds, and when I get into, you know, being in service of others, and you know, that's where I find traction on my journey.
Awesome.
When I'm being about me, when I'm being about me, I lose sight of things. You know, I get caught up in me.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, there's the things that you have to do fundamentally for yourself. Yes, you know, those things I'm not talking about. You know, but when I'm like, okay, when am I going to get this? You know, why is this not coming? You know, all these different things about, and it has to do with me, and I'm the direct recipient of things. I get lost in that.
Yeah.
You know, so I've been in a practice of being, you know, for others, being in service of others, and honoring that, like really getting present and really honoring and immersing myself in what is it that you need. You know, I get on calls sometimes, even with other photographers. Like I'm in an industry where it's not very common for photographers to share their skill sets and things like that, right? It's very coveted, right? But I get on calls and I'm like, use me, you know, and I don't find enough people actually respond to that because they're not accustomed to hearing that kind of language. In like, what do you mean use me? I don't want to use you,
Right.
You know, but I straight up get on calls and I'm like, yo, use me as a resource, use me in whatever form or fashion you feel that would be of benefit.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to be used.
Right.
I love that.
That's dope.
But that's what we were created for, to serve.
Oh,
so when we're serving, we're walking His way, His will,
and the fact that you can realize when you're slipping into that that selfishness, you recognize it. That's growth right there. Along your journey, you're like, oh no, it's about me. Let me get off of that. You know, let me go back to serving. Let me, you know, we focus on this and not me. So definitely recognizing that is growth in itself. So
I love that.
You have a moment like this, right, where I can go right back to the first question. I'm falling in love with Jesus all over again right now in this moment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it.
I love that.
Right?
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I got all I needed.
You good?
I am great.
So D, tell everybody where they can find you, man. You know, how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah.
Well, in order to book my services or actually even enjoy or explore my services, you can find me on Instagram at D'Anthony Photography. I should say it how it's written, right? So D'Anthony _ photography.
Thank you.
There you go.
And the web, it's d'anthonyphotography.com, no underscore. And just shoot me a message and I could shoot you whatever you need. You know.
Awesome. I think our picture's still on your website, right? I know it's been a while.
We haven't been highlighted. I don't understand why we haven't been really.
Well, this part of the website is under construction.
Oh yeah, see.
It's a part of it's the loving part of my website. You know, I'm really developing that side daily.
You've fallen in love with God.
And you say you serve it.
You know, so I'm gonna work on that. As a matter of fact.
Like, oh, he's clicking the keyboard right now. That's awesome.
That's awesome. We are.
You guys in my heart. You don't need to be anywhere on my website.
There you go. But I'm talking, you know, for everybody else to see how, you know.
You see my face, right?
Your work. Yeah, stone face family.
See, it should be about. See, but didn't you learn anything from this podcast? It's not about you.
Service.
It's about the service of others.
I learned about being honest.
Be honest.
Oh my goodness.
Hit you both. Actually, you're probably in there. Yes, you are.
Awesome.
Oh, good. So if you want to see us, no, I'm kidding. I'm so
if you want to see some of his awesome work,
yes.
Use us as his muses.
There you go. Come on now. Come on, Jesus.
then go check out his website.
Yes, check out the website.
Awesome. We definitely appreciate you coming on and spending some time with the family, sharing your journey.
Yes.
It's always a pleasure to see you, bro. We don't see you enough. So
we sure enough don't.
We need to fix that once all this COVID stuff is over. So
yeah, man.
Get together. Anything else you want to say? You want to impart?
No. I mean, is there any zinger you want to leave everyone with before we close out? Little nugget? You gave us everything you had.
I might gotta go and eat another meal or something. You know? I feel so on the spot. You know, no, I actually want to acknowledge you too, because I think that what you guys are doing is really, really amazing. Not just from the perspective of just delivering God's message, right? But, you know, honestly, what it must take for you guys to deal with your life throughout the entire day to dedicate time, this hour, to people, you know, like what you must have to work on, put away, you know, not bring to the conversation so you could bring other things to the conversation, like really lose yourself, you know, and lose yourself to God. It's just really amazing. And I applaud you for that. You know, I mean, I don't know if anybody ever really thinks about things like that, right? But I really do think it takes something, right? And that's something you guys have, and I really appreciate knowing and having the experience of you two. You know, whenever I do, it's always really incredible. So thank you so much for lending yourself to me at the times that you do. And I thank you on behalf of everybody else for what kind of lesson you are for this podcast and what you're doing right now.
Awesome.
Thank you.
We received that.
Yeah, we did.
Definitely.
All for God's glory.
All for God's glory.
God's glory. Seriously.
Indeed. All right. Well, love and blessings, people. Love and blessings.
Thank you for listening to Let's Talk R&R with Tony and Lisa. Follow us on Instagram at Let's Talk R&R, where we welcome your feedback.